Mrs. Martin. Mr. McAfee. Ms. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Osowski.
Here.
Chair is here. Ms. Jeswick. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. So good evening. We are at President's Remarks. I will start with, as per usual, please place all cell phones on silent. I will make sure mine is. There's also a couple of things that I would like to address. I know from speaking to several other board members that many of them are having problems accessing their school district email. I encourage you to please call the help desk. They will be very helpful and patient if you're slow like me. But the problem is there's two-step authentication now, and it's protecting them, and it logged all of us out at some point apparently, and you can't just go in and change your password now without their help. So if you are logged out of, if you are not able to get into your board email, please call the help desk. And Kim?
Please, when you call, tell them you're not in the district.
Yeah.
When you call the help desk. And if you need the number, email me and I can send it to you.
Yeah, you have to tell them that you're a board member, that you're not an employee. And you probably will have to tell them that more than once, because I had to tell them more than once. They didn't seem to understand. But other than that, they were very helpful. The second remark that I need to make, and I'm hoping that Mr. McAfee is here to speak on this matter. On Election Day, we had an unfortunate situation arise where one of our board members went to vote and discovered that he lives in that tiny little corner of Redford Township that is Clarenceville Schools. I know from speaking with him that he is prepared to tender his resignation, effective immediately. Since he's not here, I was hoping he would be here. Needless to say, he is very disappointed, and we are very disappointed to lose him. So we will now, once I have we will need to post that position and then figure out when we want to have a special meeting or workshop to fill the position. The clock will begin ticking immediately because he has to resign immediately. So we'll have 30 days, which puts us right up against, like right smack dab in the middle of the holidays. Having said that, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda of the November 11th, 2024 regular meeting as presented? Moved by Mr. Osowski. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Bailey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Call to the audience, public participation regarding agenda items. I know y'all are just dying to speak to us, right? All right, hearing none. We'll move on to presentations. Did I skip something? No, okay. I was like, I'm like rushing through it. Wayne Risa Parent Advisory Committee update. Cameron Dillard, Executive Director of Student Services, welcome.
Is that better? Okay. Good evening, Board, Superintendent Witt. Thank you for having me this evening. Really quickly, an update on our Parent Advisory Committee meetings. I did reach out to our PAC member. She was unable to attend this evening, just so you're aware. All right, so a couple agendas here. I attended the September 12th, 2024 PAC meeting at RISA in person. It was a great meeting. A couple things that they talked about were, they talked about MDE's LRE, least restrictive environment, which as a district we're talking about, kind of what that looks like for students with disabilities. They went over what that looks like, the MDE coming to different school districts in Wayne County, an overview of what that's going to mean for our districts. Gave some examples, some student examples, some parent examples, those kinds of things. There are a couple non-PAC member parents who attend these meetings, just so you're aware of that, and it's open to the public. Talked about.
I'm sorry, Ms. Diller, can you tell us what LRE is, just for people that don't know?
Yep, so least restrictive environment, and so it's for students with disabilities, making sure they're educated with their non-disabled peers to the largest extent possible. So if we have a student who is in an ASD program, for example, who our teachers feel could be educated with their gen ed peers somehow, some way, we really work toward that, and we are working toward that as a school district with Fidelity. Talked about member orientation and a refresher to start the school year off, kind of talked about member obligations of our PAC members for the county and what that looks like, and discussion on that. There were no concerns, no questions about that. They did some new nominations to their executive board. That went pretty well. Let's see, and then they did each share out reports, so chairperson report, vice president, secretary, treasurer report, subcommittee reports, and then any Wayne Risa reports. Pretty good meeting. It was all right. The October 10th, 2024 meeting was virtual. I was unable to attend, but I do have the agenda and can highlight a couple things from that meeting. And I don't believe our PAC parent was able to attend either of those meetings as well. I'm going to reach out and make sure that she still is able to be our representative at RISA. If not, we will talk about it, and I'll present that to you guys when I talk with her. Let me see here. They talked about what it means, again, to be a representative, networking in your districts to develop relationships. They talked about from what I hear, they talked about the discussion that advocates can attend PAC meetings, but they don't represent any advocacy groups. They can't not represent a group. They can come as an attendee, but they cannot represent their advocacy group in these meetings. So they can't give legal advice, nothing like that, to their PAC parents. They talked a lot about voting rights for students with disabilities and people with disabilities overall. They talked about who can vote. They gave a number of resources for our students who are of voting age, because as you know, Michigan educates until 26 years of age, and where they can vote and those kinds of things. Their accessibility, a lot of talk from what I'm told when I talked to Risa last week about this was they really spoke to guardians of students who can't make their own legal decisions and how that would look for them for voting. They talked about October being National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Jobs for All, gave a lot of links for that. Department of Labor hosted a virtual event on October 24th. So what that looks like for jobs for folks with disabilities. They gave a list of upcoming conferences. Some have passed, some are upcoming. And November 16th, is Livonia's AIR, AIR. It's Adaptive Inclusive Recreation Program. There's a free event that they really talked about on the 16th. It's an arts and crafts, free food, free resources, those kinds of things for our students with disabilities. Let's see. Then they gave their reports, Vice President, Short Report, Secretary, Treasurer. They gave RISA reports. So RISA reports, they talked about a professional development for transportation staff and that they held. I don't know when. The date's not in here, so I can get that date if you really want that. But they had 400 transportation providers from Wayne County attend a free training all day long. They talked about bus evacuation, PBIS on the bus for students, AAC devices on the bus, and de-escalation for preventative strategies. So that was a well-attended training. It was at Lincoln Park School District. So I'm going to get information on that. It's every other year. I hadn't heard of it in our district. Maybe some of you had heard of it, but I want to get that for our transportation folks for 2026. Let me see. And they talked about professional development for staff, and how RISA's coming out. RISA, we had RISA at our PD on November 1st. They talked about LRE. It was a great presentation. We like when RISA comes out and helps us out, so they were out with our district as well. And talked about the critical shortage. As you know, special education staff is very difficult to find. They've got a new partnership with Eastern Michigan to create a master's program for gen ed and special ed teachers to receive an endorsement in POHI, which is physically otherwise health impaired, to obtain their teaching certificate with Eastern. They've also partnered with a child psychiatrist to provide free consultation services to Wayne County to support all children. We have not had to use that yet because, as you know, we hired a second school psychologist, but we will watch for that if we need to take them up on that offer. I believe that's it from that meeting. There is our director PAC meeting dinner this Thursday at 5:30, so I'll be attending. Hopefully Bethany will attend as well. Can I answer questions for you?
So it's interesting that they, in October, at the October meeting, that they spoke about specifically voting and our students who aren't able to make their own legal decisions.
Yeah.
I heard this on the news, that it actually happened in another district where somebody came, a group came in to register these young people to vote, and the mom was actually shocked because she's the parent of a student who cannot make their own decisions, and said student came home with this voter's registration. So my question is, what are we doing as a district to protect those students from that kind of predatory action?
I think that's a big discussion. I think that's a discussion.
That's a really loaded
It's a discussion
discussion.
with our administrators, right, who have our older students who aren't, well, some are adults, right, who
Right.
are approaching adult age. I think it's also a question with our county, because we do run programs up to 26 years of age, getting guardians information on that, how to protect their students, getting guardians and family members who are not guardians, because they're not all legal guardians, right?
Right.
They turn over their rights sometimes. How to support their child, who is an adult, right?
Right.
For that not to happen.
Right. And, I'm a huge proponent of coming into our high schools especially and registering our young people to vote. I registered to vote in my high school way back 100 years ago in Indiana. I believe that that's how you get young people involved. But I also believe that we have to protect those who cannot protect themselves. I was shocked. I shouldn't have been, but I was shocked when I heard the story on the news, and I was like, wow, I just was, so it's interesting. I'm glad that the PAC is looking at this and how everybody that is, is able to vote, both emotionally, mentally, and, should vote. That's our right that's the beauty of our country.
Yeah.
But I do believe that we need to protect those who can't protect themselves.
Absolutely.
So I just was curious as to what maybe the PAC is thinking about doing, or what we are thinking about doing as a district and a
Yeah.
county.
Yep.
The chair,
Mr. Bailey?
you said predatory. What was predatory about that?
I believe that for an organization to come into an environment where there are people who are not mentally able to make those kinds of decisions and register them to vote, and potentially put an absentee ballot in front of them and ask them, fill in this circle, this circle, this circle, this circle. That goes against everything this country stands for. And that is predatory, because they are taking advantage of those who cannot protect themselves.
Did they ask that? I didn't hear you say it.
I don't know. Listen, all I know is they went in and registered this young man to vote whose mother went to the news and was shocked because her son, she makes all the legal decisions. He's at that level. So if they're willing to go that far, how far are they willing to go, right? What's the point of registering somebody to vote who cannot make that decision? To me, it's predatory, and I feel we have a responsibility as a society to protect people from things like that. It's just my opinion. Are there any further questions?
Anything else?
Thank you.
Up next, Elementary Watchdogs Program. Jill Birch and Melissa Nickel, our amazing elementary principals. Welcome, welcome.
Nice. Can you hear? Hello, everyone. There you go. We don't know that we need a microphone necessarily, but for that we will. Ms. Birch and I are very excited to be partnering to join into the Watchdog Dags programming at the elementary level. Prior to my time in the district and Ms. Birch's time as a leader in the district, Watchdog Dads has been present. And so we approached Mr. Witt, I don't know, a month or so ago, because we had some interest at the elementary level and noted that we needed to see what we could do to get some more volunteers in place. And as part of some of the committees that we're doing, parent engagement is one of them. And so we're just going to share a little bit about the Watchdog Dads program, what we've done so far, kind of our next steps, and where we're at. And then if you have any questions, you can let us know. All right? Do you want to?
Sure. So the Watchdog Dads program began, heard my voice, in 1998 in a single school, and it has grown nationally to be a nationally recognized program. It's brought over 1 million fathers and father figures into the schools, classrooms, the hallways, and it's positively impacted the educational process.
Yeah. So we know that if there's not a purpose and a partnership, it usually doesn't go successfully. And so the purpose is to have family and community engagement in our educational initiative. And the partnership is between the school and positive male role models from our families and our community. And we know that Watchdog Dads does both of these things. It gives us a purpose and a partnership.
So the goal of the Watchdogs program is to provide positive male role models for the students, demonstrating by their presence that education is important. It's also going to provide extra set of eyes and ears to enhance school security and to reduce bullying.
So there's 3 kind of benefits that we're going to go over. Number 1, male role models are positively impacting a student's life in 3 critical ways: academic performance, self-esteem, and social behavior. So our goal is to have those positive male role models within the school setting. The second benefit is that the presence of fathers or father figures will really enhance the sense of security for kids in the building and help create an environment conducive to learning. And the final benefit is that fathers or father figures get to learn about the complex challenges and decisions that the kids are facing every day. It can help them relate better to their own child and hopefully allow them to connect in a more meaningful way as they talk about school.
So who are watchdogs? Watchdogs are dads of great students, fathers, grandfathers, uncles, and other father figures who volunteer for at least one day each year at an official watchdog school. So we're not asking for them to be there daily, weekly, but they are going to be volunteering their time. Part of volunteering their time is spending some time in their own child's classroom or student.
So they'll partner with the school by spending at least one day per school year volunteering. They'll spend time with their children. They'll start their day. They'll meet in the office. They'll go over the agenda and their daily schedule that they have. They'll start their day then in their child's classroom so that they can be present in their child's life, in their child's education, but they don't stay there all day. They then follow a schedule where they are spending time in other classrooms throughout the grade levels. They're spending time at recess and lunch because we all know that those are really prime times to get to know students' actual real behavior and personalities. And then they'll also get to spend some time at arrival and dismissal duty with us, helping us out, making sure that there are other families following directions and doing a great job. They will get to spend a little time in on the playground and even in gym if we want them to. But the hope is that they will engage with academics in their children's classroom and other rooms throughout the day. So doing some reading with students, doing some math work with students, always within the classroom environment, always underneath guidance of the classroom teacher as well.
So to roll out the plan, we introduced the program at both Beach and Hilbert. We gathered interest by sending out communication to those who expressed interest. We've scheduled a meeting with them.
At 9 o'clock on Friday at Hilbert, and then also we have one the following week on Thursday at Beach. We asked parents when they would be interested in attending, in person, virtual, before school, after school, and so we tried to give the three options that they were looking for. So we will have a during the day at Hilbert, and then an after-school one at Beach, and we will also add a virtual meeting at the same time. So we will have a dual meeting on that 21st for the families. Yep, I got you. Yeah. So you might not have heard her because, her voice is gone, but we have about 24 dads or father figures already signed up to come to these meetings. Currently, we have had an RSVP for these two meetings of about 8 people. We're going to contact them during parent-teacher conferences this week as well and just remind them so that we can get an idea of who's coming to what meeting date. So our next steps after that is that we will need to participate in some virtual training, which is a 7 steps to success. It's pretty quick. I know that we both worked through that. We need to select the Watchdogs team to help implement the program at each school. So we can't do it by ourselves. We will have a team of fathers or father figures who have identified that they would like to be present more than once a year, right, and helping us roll this out. We would then order the Watchdogs school startup kits, one for each school. We would attend the Watchdogs University, which is also a virtual training. And then we would need to prepare for our pizza night, which is a launching event that we would do to get as many of our fathers or father figures to join us. And then we would finalize our orientation folder and daily schedule so that we have that all ready to go, have the launch event, and to begin changing lives for our students. Any questions? And we shared just kind of the facts about it so that you can look through it if you would like to as well.
If a parent would like to volunteer more than once on a day, is that going to be scheduled?
Yeah, so the minimum is once a year. the minimum. Our hope is that we have them volunteer more often, but we also know that there are people who work during the day. And coming and spending an entire day with us is a large commitment for them. And so our goal will be one time a year, but if they want more, we would love that, absolutely.
So like a retired grandfather.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, we'll take them, yeah.
So like, let's say for instance, you do know time is convenient issue, can they do a half day instead of a whole day?
Absolutely, we will work with anyone who wants to come in and volunteer with them. The other piece that's not on there is that they do have to pass the iChat. We can't just have people hanging out that are not cleared. So part of our onboarding with them already has been that we've sent those iChat forms home with them so that we are ready to go when they sign up.
The chair, are you particular?
I don't understand what your question means, sorry.
Have to be people that are blood relatives? There's a slew of retired people out there, right?
Right.
It's an untapped resource.
Right.
Are you particular
They are fathers or father figures of students at our school.
at the school?
That's what the program is supposed to be. That is something that I believe we and Superintendent Witt can have a conversation about on whether or not we would incorporate others. But the program is intended to be for fathers or father figures, so uncles, people who maybe are not blood related but are doing the job of helping take care of and raise the students in our community. Then I think that's appropriate to have. But there should be a connection to the students.
Be involved in the student's life.
What she said. Yeah. You sound awesome. Any other questions?
I'm glad that you guys saw the need to bring in watchdogs for our community, and I just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm excited to see how this is gonna play out and get the dads and uncles and godfathers more involved in their child's life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'll echo that, I think a lot of times that it's the moms who are involved, right?
Yeah, for
Right?
sure.
And the dads are kind of clueless. At least mine was, my husband was. He was involved later, he was the guy who did 9 years of marching band camp, so. Because they couldn't get enough guys to, yeah, this is such a wonderful program, because who better to mentor young men, right? We can do the best that we can as moms raising, boys, but the reality is there's things that we can't explain to them.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Moving on, student representative communication.
Hi, everyone. So this past weekend, 11 of our high school students showed up for Redford JC's dodgeball tournament, and then 6 of those 11 students won the tournament. Not me. I got first. He's just hating on my name. The National Honor Society is starting their tutoring sessions tomorrow, November 2nd, and they're also working on a toy drive for children. This Wednesday, November 13th, Women of Tomorrow is starting their mentor sessions. And then our yearbook is officially up for pre-order. And then this year's theme is iPhone. Choir is having their winter performance on the 5th of December. And finally, Hope Squad was presented with the opportunity to go to a mental health conference in Northville on the 7th of December. Is there any questions? Thank you.
It's on the calendar of events.
So
Uh-oh.
if I just wait, I'll see it on the calendar.
It's like December
Okay,
something.
thank you.
Thank you.
That's what I get for not reading ahead. Moving on, Superintendent Communication, Mr. Witt.
Good evening. We will start with the November 2024 Staff Member of the Month for the Keeler Administration Building. Somehow, some way, Jackie Warren was the winner. Beach Elementary School, we had Cassidy Mertz, speech pathologist. Hilbert Elementary School, Gabe Greasy, fifth grade teacher. Redford Union Junior High School, we had Sarah Ackerman, educational assistant. Redford Union High School, we have Michael McCray, special education teacher. At Keeler, in our day treatment program, Sarah Harmon, educational assistant. And at McGowan, right here, Katie Deegan, audiologist in the DHH program. So kudos to all those staff members for their nominations and for their hard work and recognition as staff members of the month. Way to go, Jackie. November 2024 brag book, next up. Starting out at Beach Elementary, they had a focus on safety with our district school resource officer, the Redford Township Fire Department, and even Durham Transportation Team, leading students through safety protocols and practices throughout the month. And so there are some photos there of some different work that they've done with our younger students, focus on safety. So kudos to all the people involved there. Next up, a joint effort between Beach Elementary School and Hilbert Elementary School ongoing, the Family University. They had their math and literacy night, and there the families who participated were able to receive pacing guides for their children's grade levels. We're given resources that will help them while working with their children, in particular on math and reading. Next up, on October 31st, the children at Hilbert had the opportunity to participate in Operation Warm, and thank you very much to FedEx and their 50 volunteers, including one of our former alum, Doreen Poselli, FedEx employee, and the photos follow there, but each of the students received a coat, a hat, and a set of gloves. Every student in the building. So,
Beautiful.
it was a great event. I know I sent out some of the links to the news stories that were done on that event, so thank you very much to FedEx. And I'm hoping it's something they want to continue on in the future. Next up, at the junior high school, they wanted to highlight their book vending machine. So we have one of these at each elementary school, but also at the junior high school as a means of promoting school-wide literacy. They've even named their vending machine Inchy. And it actually talks to you when it's dispensing the book.
That's
So
cool.
there's a couple students there pictured with their books. Also at the junior high school, October was Red Ribbon. October included the last week, Red Ribbon Week, where students pledged to stay off drugs. They signed pledge banners to make that commitment. And the PBIS team also put together a list of success, keys to success, and those were turned into locker magnets that are all around the building on the junior high side at the secondary campus. So there's some photos there. And there's a photo even of that checklist for success included. Also at the junior high school, the third year of a partnership with the Tau Alpha Omega chapter of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Yeah, that's a lot of Greek there.
And I've seen one of those pink coats somewhere before. Dr. Lindsay. And that continued partnership, they came in and did hygiene presentations for all of our female students at the junior high school. And the students even received a makeup bag with hygiene products at the conclusion of the presentation. So kudos to that ongoing partnership at the junior high school. Some highlights from the high school. On October 23rd, students from the Spanish classes did have the opportunity to visit the DIA to enjoy a guided tour along with our Spanish teacher, Miss Millward, and our best practices coach, Miss Uresti. And one of the highlights was they had the opportunity to see the El Dia de Muertos exhibit, Day of the Dead. And there's some photos there from that visit to the DIA. We do want to highlight another successful season for our varsity football team at Redford Union High School, completing the regular season with an 8-1 record in their 4th consecutive conference championship in the Western Wayne Athletic Conference. So kudos to all those young men who made that happen and the coaches and staff involved in that. Up at the day treatment program, one of honestly the best traditions of the fall from my view is the project-based learning activity where the students in our day treatment program build scarecrows, and then there's a competition to judge those scarecrows on the week of Halloween. So there are photos from that program. And there are all the entries. There's a photo there at the end with all the entries. And people are encouraged to come from all around the district, including down in the admin wing, to cast their vote for the best scarecrow.
Which one won?
In that picture, number 3 was the top vote getter.
It's kind of scary.
Well, that's the one I cast my vote for.
I'm like,
Next up, at the Veritas program, here in this corridor, Mrs. Perry is being recognized for her hard work with her science students. Highlighting there, the 11th grade students created mousetrap race cars, and there's some pictures there that follow. And that was the 11th grade students. And then also another fun activity that incorporates STEM aspects is the seniors doing a fingerprinting project in the forensic science class. And they had to analyze staff fingerprints to determine which criminal committed the crime. So there's some photos there of both those activities.
who done it?
So kudos to Mrs. Perry for putting those activities together and getting the kids actually doing some experiential and project-based learning. And oftentimes, the things they get to do that way are the things that stick with them sometimes the longest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So kudos to them. And we will make sure that that board brag book, as always, gets posted. Next up, we also have the calendar of events for November 12th, 2024. I actually think there's some stuff for today on there as well, through January 6th, 2025. Yes, 2025 is right around the corner.
Lord.
And just the highlights there at the junior high school, coming up in December, there is a choir concert on December 9th, and then there is a band concert on December 12th. The upcoming breaks are noted on there, Thanksgiving break and everything. So again, this is another resource that will be posted online that the community will be able to access as well. And at the high school, the instrumental music Christmas concert is on the 12th. And the vocal music concert is on the 18th. There are those watchdog events coming up for both Beach Elementary and Hilbert Elementary, and those are on November 15th and November 21st. Each building is hosting one of those in person, but there's also the virtual option that's being provided as well. There's some upcoming field trips and other things listed there, along with some holiday activities like the PBIS pancake breakfast. And another December function is the Family University doing a family movie night.
Wow, I'm impressed. I like it.
So, Mr. Witt, what is the PBIS on pancake breakfast?
I will let our principal with a voice explain more.
So students who have 3 or less behavior referrals and 0 suspensions are invited to join myself and 2 other staff members as we make them pancakes. And then they get to pick any topping. We did it last year as well, and we had 2 days in a row because we had an organization, like 250 kids, that earned that.
Wow.
Maybe even more actually, because
That's a lot of
That's a great
they're excited. So
incentive.
they
I
were
like it.
really excited about it. There's toppings galore.
wow.
We make pancakes from the beginning of the school day until right to dismissal. It's all new. But it's worth it. They have a really good time, and they enjoy food.
Can you tell her to take plenty of pictures?
There's a request to take plenty of pictures.
Oh, we do.
And you know, I'm food motivated, so I told our CFO that. I was like, at Wayne Bryan, I'm like, you send us snacks, we'll do whatever you want.
So we will get that calendar of events posted as well on the website, but that concludes the superintendent's communications for this evening.
All right, communications received by the board secretary.
Yes, I actually have 2.
Ooh,
So we had, when we went to the Michigan Association School Board, we met some vendors, and one of the vendors reached out to me and Evelyn.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to read that. It said, good morning, Lakia and Evelyn. I had a pleasure of meeting you last Friday at the MASB, and I wanted to extend my sincere gratitude for taking the time to visit our booth. My name is Chris Vincent, and I am the Vice President of Business Development for
Tyler, something.
a family-owned food service management company based in Minnesota with nearly 400 years of experience. Currently partners over 350 institutions across 25 states, providing high innovative. We enjoyed meeting you and sharing a taste of Lebanese cuisines. And then just a little bit of introduction as we embrace our opportunity of the 2024 school year, 2024-2025 school year. Is thrilled to share the exciting developments. Basically, to provide a deeper look at how we can transform your district's dieting program. We would be delighted to host a lunch and learn session at your convenience. This information gathered will give you the chance to experience our culinary approach and discuss your goals and explore how our shelf-based food service program can support your district's objectives. So basically, we want to come out, present, meet with our superintendent, and have
Should be
further,
reaching out to you.
conversation. And so I did reach back out to Chris and let him know that I was going to be talking to our president. I knew we was going to have tonight, so. that's
Yeah,
why I
and
contacted you.
I responded to him as well, and I believe his response was that he would reach out to the superintendent's office to come in. I will say, I don't know if you got a chance to go get any of that, like, it was, you know, when you go to events like MASB, they feed you a lot, by the way. And so you walked into like the hall where all the vendors were, and you could smell all this wonderful, delicious food that these these lunch vendors were cooking, and they had these little like hummus and tabbouleh and chicken shot thingies that were, like, they had them in a look, they were really good.
They were stellar.
They were, yeah.
And so, yeah, so I,
It was really good. I'm food motivated, I told you.
Exactly. That possibly can have a conversation to see if they can talk to our superintendent. And then, a second communication, is from the Redford Township, elected official, Redford Township elected office. And it says, "Dear Mr. McAfee, thank you for your interest in serving as a candidate for the Redford Union School Board. We appreciate your willingness to contribute to the educational well-being of our community. After conducting a thorough review of your application and confirming this residency requirements, we regret to inform you that we are unable to accept your candidacy at this time. Our investigation has shown that your current residency does not meet the eligibility criteria as candidates for the school board must reside within the district boundaries. We understand this may be disappointing news and we encourage you to stay involved in the district in other ways. If you have any other questions regarding this matter, please do not hesitate to reach out." And this was from Darren Bird, the deputy clerk of Redford Township. And I wanted to follow back up with Mr. Witt to see, follow up about our letter from last time that you said you was gonna give over to Mike to review, and we were gonna talk about it this month.
Yeah, it was a tax collection issue. It's not anything to do with us.
Okay, so can you give us, so why was it sent to us then?
Because we're a party to the action, but there's nothing that the district has to do at this point.
Okay, so it's clear we do not have any property that is not tax related.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. All right, moving on. Chief Financial Officer's Communications, Mr. Beltink.
Thank you. We just recently wrapped up our annual audit with Raymond. They will be in, I'm confirming with Dan now, they'll be in for the December 9th meeting to give his presentation as he did last year. I will pull together a summary like I normally do for you guys, and I'll commit to get that. If we don't have a workshop, sometime around the where we would normally have a workshop for that. I went right from the audit and we jumped right into the Act 18 budgets, so,
This is your busy time of year.
yeah, so I will pull something together. Obviously, I need to review it with Mr. Witt and then we will get something out to you and walk through that. But the main presentation will be on the 9th. And that is it.
Thank you. Executive Director of Human Resources and Labor Relations Communications, Mrs. Nachman.
Hello, everyone. I just have one thing I'm just going to update. We are this year in an attempt to provide meaningful professional development to all of our district employees. We've done a lot of focus with our teachers, and we're trying to enhance what we offer educational assistance. And this year, Mr. Witt made a suggestion for our secretaries. So our secretaries are engaged with myself, along Kim has joined our group, and Jackie is part of our group, and a couple others from central office, but we are engaging them in a book study, and we are reading the book, Be Our Guest, Perfecting the Art of Customer Service. It's basically the model that Disney uses in their training institute and how they provide training to their 150,000 employees, along with many businesses that go to the Disney Institute to receive training on effective customer service. So we are reading this book together, and we're taking some of the suggestions and ideas and looking at how we can adapt them to a school. We're not Disney and we're not IBM, some of the companies they talk about a lot in here, but there are many strategies, techniques, skills, that we can adapt, to serve our customer base, which are our parents and our students. And our secretaries are on the front line. They're the first person that most of our parents see. They're that our students meet when they come into the office. And so just looking at how we can support our customer base. And so they had their first meeting last week. Unfortunately, I was sick and could not be there to kick it off, but we are meeting again this Thursday. The meetings do happen during the school day. We have asked the principals to find coverage for our secretaries for about an hour and a half as we meet, because we do think that the work here is important and we want them to be engaged, and we don't want this to be something we're asking them to do on their own time. And so we are feeding them well and reading and talking and hopefully learning, and hopefully it will be a meaningful process as we move throughout.
So how often do you meet?
Once a month. Yeah.
That's awesome.
There.
Mr. Bailey?
So Ms. Nachman, are there other initiatives besides Be Our Guests with the secretaries?
Right now, this is what we're doing with them from central office.
No other employee groups doing anything, just the secretary?
Well, no, all of our groups are doing something. This is just professional development for our secretarial groups. Our teachers do continual professional development throughout the year. Our EAs are engaged in professional development. Our secretaries have just never really had anything planned. They're usually in the building working. It's a great opportunity for them to get things done on professional development days where the rest of the staff is engaged.
Because
But we
nobody's
did
bothering them.
want to offer them something, because all of our groups have an opportunity to learn and grow. So we're just providing them this opportunity outside of the regular professional development days to give them some learning and opportunities for growth and opportunities to meet with one another. And so they're the only group engaged in this activity, but all of our groups are engaged in professional learning activities.
So it is. My compliments for doing this with the secretaries.
All right, moving on. Executive Director of Curriculum and Technology Communications, Mrs. Crenshaw.
So, last week, we had 2 professional development days for the rest of our staff. As Ms. Dillard commented earlier, quite a few of our SEL staff went to a mental health conference. Our EAs were at a conference that was specifically created for them and some of their, the things that they deal with on a regular basis. Our teachers spent time looking at data last week, so we're excited to meet again as an administrative team to talk through what each building saw. We'll be presenting that probably at the December meeting, kind of once we have a chance to get everybody back together, because those discussions have just kind of been taking place over the last few weeks. But a lot of our MTSS discussions are based on all of our data, so we need to make sure that all of our teachers are taking the time to look at it and own the data from our students. So it sounds like it was a really beneficial time for all of our teachers, along with our planning of our best day of school ever. I got a lot of great feedback from staff on my sign-out survey. They all seemed to really enjoy that planning time that they were able to have on Tuesday of last week. So sounds like they were pretty successful professional development days for our teachers. A lot of them were happy that they were tailored towards them. So it was a good day, good 2 days.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, we are at the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented? Moved by Mr. Osowski. Is there support? Do I have support? Thank you. Seconded by Ms. Miller. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Y'all are too quiet. I'm gonna make you stand up and dance.
No, actually, I was looking over it.
All right. Action items. special consideration, non-consent agenda action items. Item 1, purchase of storage for Redford Union Junior High and Redford Union High School instrumental music program. This is what we talked about in our workshop meeting. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Jason Witt, Superintendent, and Miles Thomasaitis, Director of Buildings, Grounds, Transportation, and Security, he's got a long title, approve the purchase of secure storage units for the RUJHS and RUHS instrumental music program in the total amount of $38,453, which also includes the installation. Moved by Mr. Bailey. Is there second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Marchand. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, roll call vote. Mr. Bailey? Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller? Mr. Osowski? Chair votes yes. Motion carries. Item 2, Superintendent's 2024-2025 school year goals. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Jason Witt, Superintendent, approve the Superintendent's 2024-2025 school year goals as presented? Moved by Mr. Bailey, seconded by Mrs. Miller. Is there any discussion?
Discussion.
Mrs. Martin?
Superintendent, I wanted to know, what is our current process for the MTSS? What's our current process?
I can't, I mean, do you have 3 hours?
No, I'm saying as it, because I'm trying to understand the purpose of your goal, and for goal number 1. And so I'm just trying to see the need and the purpose of it.
Well, the fact is that until last year, we really didn't have a plan when it came, we didn't have a cohesive structure and plan in place when it came to MTSS. So last year, I had a goal that was related to developing the plan, and we've initially implemented that plan, but this is for the ongoing implementation of that plan and making sure that I'm supporting the work that's going on at the building levels to make sure that we're putting that in place, because we have 3 buildings right now that, I mean, honestly, it's just because all of our buildings need to have a consistent, cohesive plan in place when it comes to multi-tiered systems of support, both on the academic side and the social emotional learning side. And the fact is, while we were doing a lot of things, that cohesion and consistency, quite honestly, wasn't there. So that's what that goal relates to, is making sure that we're carrying that out at the building levels, and that at the district level, we're continuing to support those things.
So how will this basically, what type of data will we be looking at when we talk about this?
Well, it'll be similar to some of the data that I reported last year, but it's making sure to report out on the programs that we have in place and the structures we have in place, and the data around the outcomes of those programs.
So will this, the information that we'll be seeing, will it be like looked at on how students are actually being referred and how they're seeing?
Well, yes, because, and actually, I mean, it's interesting you say that. I guess it's been a fault on my part. We presented last year multiple times on what we were doing with regards to MTSS, but I guess I didn't specifically spell it out, that that's what we were presenting. So when you had presentations last year on the reduction in discipline referrals at the different building levels and things like that, those things were a product of our efforts in MTSS.
And I think for me, that's what I was having a hard time understanding. So I know we were doing a lot around this most social emotional part of it, but I didn't relate that to MTSS. I always thought about it from the academic side of things.
Right.
And so, like learning more, so it's like while you were talking about the reducing suspensions and things like that, I kind of put that together, but I didn't have a lot of support on how we were doing it around academics.
Right.
So I think maybe.
Ms.
to-
Martin, can you turn your microphone on, please, when you talk? Thanks.
I'm sorry, it is.
No, it is lit up.
It is.
It's lit, and I'm trying not to be on top of it, so from last time.
Yeah. I think.
But no, we will do a better job of, when we have presentations throughout the year that tie into these things, of making clear up front that those are the type of things that we're talking about.
And then maybe, because, when May and June comes around and we're doing this evaluation, we slept since then. Maybe, in the artifacts section on your self-evaluation, go back and say, okay, remember this, like, put the dates that we had presentations around that to
Yep.
help us remember.
Absolutely.
Because I'll be like, oh, wait, yeah, and but it probably puts more weight to than our rating for you, yeah, so. okay.
Absolutely.
Is there any further discussion?
The chair.
Mr. Bailey?
Again, as I mentioned at the last meeting, these goals are Mr. Witt's goals. They're not the school board's goals per se, so by default, they are our goals. And when you have something that says like continue to facilitate and support our implementation of a meaningful multi-tiered system, again, there's nothing measurable about that. Continue to enhance district communication and parent-family engagement. There's nothing measurable about that. Work in conjunction with the Board of Education. How? Through an intentional facilitated process. How? So that's what I keep saying.
Mr. Bailey, there was a whole plan. So let's go to number 3. There was a whole plan that was presented at the board workshop for what that facilitated process would look like, including general dates about when certain activities would occur, so culminating in having a finished product by the end of June 2025. So it's definitely measurable. That information was presented to you, just like the information was presented at the same workshop on the professional learning that our other staff members are engaging in. And yet you asked tonight if our employees were engaging in professional development. So you like to revisit these things and come back to these things, but with all due respect, you have been provided information on these things. I understand you have a differing opinion. By the way, with regard to your comment about boards of education, there are boards of education that do adopt goals. So I'd encourage you to talk to the Michigan Association of School Boards. If that's something that you as a board want to do, and you want to set SMART goals, and you want to develop those goals, by all means, I'd encourage you to do so. And I believe one of those goals, from my view, if they ask me, would be to consider maybe around reducing the number of board meetings that are recorded by individual board members when the district itself is recording board meetings.
So, I'm just gonna kind of say that, yes, they are the goals that Mr. Witt has set for himself, but the nature of this vote, either for or against those goals, thereby serves the adoption of said goals. So depending on how this vote were to go, right, the board is, while we didn't write them ourselves, our approval of such goals or rejection of them is the adoption of. I've been on this board a long time. I think we've talked about this. We as a board have never, and I don't typically say things like this because I hate well, we never did it that way before. But this is a case where we have always trusted our superintendent to set SMART goals. And then we have asked questions, which we have done both in our workshop and again tonight. To the point of things being measurable, there are things that you can measure and there are things that you can't measure. And I think we just have to be okay with that. There are things that have a true measurement, and then there are things that just don't. And so having said that, unless there's any further questions from any other board members regarding these goals, I am going to call for a roll call vote. Oh, yep, Mrs. Martin.
As it relates to the portrait of a graduate, after that is done, will we be able to move in the process of building a strategic plan?
Yes, I mean, that's up to the board to decide, but that would be my recommendation. And as I stated previously, when I presented the portrait of a graduate, I believe that that is setting the foundation for us to go forward with the strategic planning from then. But this particular school year, between now and the end of June, it's going to be everything we can do to pull in different stakeholder groups to develop that portrait of a graduate. But yes, I think by the following school year, once we have that foundation in place, it'll allow us to engage in the strategic planning process further.
All right, any further questions? Okay, roll call. Mr. Bailey?
No.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski? The chair votes yes, motion carries. There were no items removed from the consent agenda. Call to the audience, public participation regarding non-agenda items. I don't see y'all jumping up. All right, hearing none. Superintendent's remarks, Mr. Witt.
Just real briefly, at the beginning of this meeting, we all had the opportunity, thank God, to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and that wouldn't be possible without the service of our veterans. And so on this Veterans Day, I just wanted to acknowledge the veterans in our community, in our school community, and the like, and thank them all for their service as well as their families, because I know what that service entails. So thank you to them, and we remember them today on this Veterans Day. And then also, I was asked to share some information about an event that the Employee of the Month at Keeler helped spearhead
smart.
and coordinate. But we are doing a staff, this is for the staff within each building. We're doing a sock drive, and that's running from November 8th through December 6th. And so you all should have a flyer that just shows that. And
And do,
all the donations should come to the Keeler Administration Building.
there's a competition among them, so. I think you gotta pick your favorite administrator and take some socks in. There's a little friendly competition.
And if you bring socks to Keeler, we make pancakes there for everybody, so. Just letting you know.
Okay, I just wanna know, if I bring you socks, will you include me in your lunch celebration? Oh. Sorry.
So kudos to that
I told you I'm food
idea.
motivated.
Jackie bringing up that idea, and then she ran with it from there, and she's super creative, fortunately. And so now there's a donation box near the main office at each of the buildings, so honestly, whichever building's closest to you.
Oh, I'll see you.
You
I'll
can
see
put them
Joe.
there. At the end of the night, I have them all brought over to Keeler and dumped into our box, and then that's how we're gonna win, but.
I think there might be some shenanigans going on. Do we have cameras on, little baby
They're
cameras?
not locked boxes, so.
All right, moving on, Board of Education Communication and Discussion. I will bring your attention to this flyer from the Wayne County Association of School Boards. So every year, Wayne County Association of School Boards sets aside some funds to help offset the cost of board members who want to travel to Washington, D.C. for National Association, the National School Board Association. So if that is something that you're interested in, the sooner you respond to this, the more likely, well, we have to know how many people are interested. But there's also,
Because I did put by a date, it's by a certain.
there is a certain date, and it's sometime in November because there's an early bird, and if I had my Wayne County meeting notes with me, I could tell you.
this form
Oh,
at
did-
least has that deadline.
Yes, so, because we're trying to save the, money on the district's part. But several Wayne County board members have gone. Wayne County has a pretty good representation usually. But not a lot of board members who go ask for Wayne County Association to help them. And we do have money set aside to help offset that cost because it is an expensive trip to go to Washington DC. So you can see that you would email Mike Latvis. He is our RISA contact and partner for Wayne County Association of School Boards. I will also say that, I'm going to try to make this super fast. I also was in Lansing, and I think I would like for us to, sometime in the near future, maybe take some time in a workshop for the board members that were able to go to Lansing to share what we saw, what we heard, what we learned. I heard a wonderful speaker in that breakfast on Friday morning that just moved me. And he just talked about attitude and having an attitude of joy. And I purchased 2 copies of his books, one, the book that he was selling, one for me and one for the district. And I will bring it and drop it off. And then I also, Lakia and I both were in a wonderful seminar on capturing kids' hearts. Vern Hazard I've spoken to him. He is, has some, they're going to be doing a 2-day seminar in Detroit in March. He has some scholarships for some Redford Union staff who might be interested in going. So if you want to do that, just reach out to me because I have Vern's contact information. It is my intent to go. He's given me a scholarship. It's just a wonderful, wonderful program. Is there any further board communication, Mr. Osowski? Anything you just, yeah?
I'd like
Mrs.
to say thank you to both of the schools for having me down for trick-or-treating. It was a lot of fun. You got to meet a lot of people, so thank you.
Mrs. Martin?
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned a little bit about what happened dealing with our appointee, when we appoint people, making sure that we actually vet people prior to. So it's like if we know we need to do an appointment for ourselves, that we know that we are appointing people that live in our district. In addition to that, what happens to their vote? Is that vote being stricken?
It has not. So I did speak to Brad Banasic at MASB. He is MASB legal counsel. As soon as I became aware of this, I spoke to him on Wednesday at great length. He did send me the statute. And the statute does say that as a district, we the district, are not required, even in the case of an appointee, to vet that, right? So, because I asked him because I was concerned about potential litigation against the district. If somebody decided to, the reality is this, it was a mistake. It's literally 1 block. The difference is 1 block. The fact, we had a lengthy discussion about the fact that the Clarenceville district exists at all because it takes from Redford, Southfield, Livonia, and Farmington Hills, and it has created this little district. It's not even like there's a community called Clarenceville, is weird. And so, because I was concerned for our board member, and I was concerned for the potential fallout for our district. And John didn't know. He really did not know. I'm not sure how many people who live in this township know that there's a little tiny corner that is Clarenceville Schools. I mean, why would you even think that, right? Unless you live that. The reality is it was an honest mistake, and I think I was more concerned that it took the Wayne County clerk this long to discover the issue.
I guess my concern is because prior to me running, I checked myself. I went down to the clerk's office and I wanted to know. So at first I thought I was in South Redford district at first actually. And then they told me, no, you're in Redford Union. So I'm saying for us, as a safeguard for us going forward, because when you are like being appointed, you necessarily don't have to check with the clerk's office. you submit your application, and then at that point, the information is presented in front of us, and then we vote. Because then we're thinking that, you know what I'm saying, when we voted on him, we just thought that he lived in our district.
But so did he.
So no, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, in general, like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, when something comes to our table and we're voting on it, we're thinking that it's good to go. So from safeguards point of view, I do think that we should, as a district, possibly vet before making our appointment. Because you don't have to go down to the county.
No, but you don't, and that's not, but when John filed for his seat, our clerk's office didn't catch it. The clerk's office didn't catch it until days after the election, to the date on the letter that our deputy clerk sent us. So while there's an error, and it's,
I'm concerned about us.
I am too, and that's why I spoke to legal representation about it. My thing is this, and I think John, and I spoke to John. I've spoken to him more than once. He's really disappointed in this. The mistake was made. I agree that we need to make sure that that kind of mistake doesn't happen again. But I am even more disappointed with the failing on both the local clerk and the Wayne County clerk at the time that he declared his candidacy.
I think for me, you know what I'm saying, it's like we also hold our part in this. You know what I'm saying? I don't think, yeah, sure, it's definitely their responsibility at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, as it relates to elections. Absolutely.
But it's their responsibility at the end of the day when they put their name forward, because as you know, when you're appointed, you sign an affidavit of identity, just as you do when you're a candidate. And when you're sworn in, you swear that what you told is truth. Now, granted, he did not know that he was, I think it's just an honest mistake. And honestly, I think it's one of those things that probably will never, I would be surprised if it happened again.
I would just say the concerns noted, and the next time there's a position to be appointed, there's a process we can go through as a district. It's fine.
Yeah, and that's the only thing, you know what I'm saying, because as what you just said, Superintendent, is because we are about to go for it. We're about to do appointing.
Yeah, we gotta do it again now.
And this, you know what I'm saying, without having a procedure in place, we can potentially vote for another person who don't live in a district.
Potentially.
And so.
But we can double check that.
Cool. All right, and so that's why I think, you know, on a different day, I probably will bring, like, we probably need to do an emotion on a different day, possibly, or at our study session, and talk about this a little bit further about actual process in place.
So I'll say, I agree, it's on a different day. Remember, we heard a lot at MASB, no surprises at the board table. I agree that we need to potentially put a policy in place. But we need to make sure we word it correctly and that we don't, yeah. Anyway, Mr. Bailey.
So, how are we gonna thank this guy for the service he provided, are we?
I'm hoping that he gives us the opportunity to, like I said, I spoke to John on Wednesday because he was concerned. He was concerned about the potential fallout of that. He was, of course, disappointed. It actually came to, like I said, it came to light when he went to vote on Tuesday, and his ballot said Clarenceville Schools, and he was like, whoa, wait, what? And he said he didn't even know that Clarenceville Schools touched our district. I will say that he has a heart for this district and this community, and I hope that he continues to, I don't think we're going to let him out of the concession stand. I think even though he doesn't, sit on this board anymore, I would also encourage you to reach out to him and say, thank you. to him, since he's not here and we don't have the opportunity to do so publicly, I'm sure that he would appreciate a phone call, a text message, just knowing that we appreciate him. And on that note, I will also say thank you to you, Mr. Bailey. I know that you are a veteran, and thank you for your service to this country. Is there any further board communication?
Yes, Mr.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Lindsay. I did not know that. You have, okay,
So, Ms.
go ahead.
President,
Yes, Mr. Bailey.
I thank you very much. We honored, the previous board members. Harry Kick, right?
Yeah, we thanked
At a
him.
meeting,
Yeah, we thanked him.
and there, a couple of the others, plus Miss Gray. So the thing is, instead of treating people differently, we could standardize that. I don't care what it is, but the point is, you don't treat people differently, as far as I'm concerned. And you had mentioned in regards to this issue with, Mr. McGaffey being,
McAfee.
thank you. So being in this position, but previous, you had mentioned about being concerned about predatory behavior. So, I don't know what this is, but the thing is this gentleman served a role that he wasn't entitled to. We knocked out probably someone qualified to hold that position in lieu of him. My question is, how does this happen?
No, actually, the facts are that Mr. McAfee, from what I recall, was the only individual at that time.
Well, I think
It was
Melanie,
another young lady.
Oh,
Melanie.
and Melanie Hamilton.
Melanie,
That's
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
So there were two individuals, and they selected one. I think Melanie got over it from talking with her. So she's good with the decision. There's going to be another opportunity for appointment, so I will make sure that Ms. Hamilton is aware of the opportunity again, should she choose to want to take advantage of it.
Also, in terms of Clarenceville having a section of Redford Union, there's a reason for that. Back
They
when-
don't actually have a section of Redford Union. They have a
Section of
portion of
Redford
Redford Township.
So, going back in the historical documents, you had different school districts. And Clarenceville is where it's at, but Redford Union was a bit more sizable. So kids walking from the northwest corner of Redford Union School District to their school was quite a walk. So it was petitioned for that section to become part of Clarenceville so that those kids could go to Clarenceville. So there was a reason for it.
Yeah, I mean, we figured there was something historical in there, but we just didn't know what it was. I don't know what I was going to say. I don't think there's any, so.
I think you were going to say adjourn.
I was, but we do need to determine a deadline, right, for candidates to fill that vacancy, and then potentially set a meeting for that.
Do we have to wait until he resigns? Or do we go forward? Because.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so,
think we should wait until he resigns and we can set that date.
okay, so this is what I was advised, and this is what I advised John to do, was that he needs to resign immediately. But until such time as he resigns, which I know he is prepared to do from speaking with him, he cannot sit at the table, which he has chosen not to do tonight. He cannot participate in any votes or, that was the advice from MASB. I believe, I did ask him for a written resignation, because he asked me if we needed one, and I told him that that would be helpful. I expected that he would be here. My concern is that this is public knowledge now. And so do we really need an official resignation?
Well, I mean, we can work on an advertisement, advertising the opportunity and get it out still this week.
I mean,
But
let's-
my recommendation would be that we just add that as a potential item on the December 9th meeting.
I mean, I do see, because technically, since the election people, the clerk said that he can't sit on it, on the board no more. It's like that, in a way, we almost have to move forward and not wait until December 9th.
well, so my concern is the 30-day clock.
Yeah, so when does?
But the
start?
30-day clock would not take us to December 9th.
I'm sorry, no, you said, well,
Yeah, he's talking about an action, potentially interviewing on December 9th at the
Yes.
regular meeting.
okay,
That could work.
okay.
Okay, that's,
I'm trying, I mean, I'll be honest, at a time when there's so much going on.
absolutely.
Trying to avoid
I don't-
another
I
night
don't
of
personally want another
meetings.
board meeting either.
No, I was just thinking like, wait, was that, I thought that when you were saying we put it out then, that's what I.
No,
No, I said we could get something posted this week, and we can talk about a deadline for applications of those,
Correct.
anyone interested to be provided in advance of the December 9th board
I
meeting.
think that's really. I
But
think
I'm
it
talking
works.
about having that as a agenda item at that meeting.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I just misunderstood.
Okay, that's, I just wanted to get that ball rolling. All right, future meeting dates, Tuesday, November 19th, board workshop, 5:30, right here in the district meeting room. Monday, December 9th, regular meeting, 5:30 PM, again here in the district meeting room. And then Monday, January 13th, 2025, regular meeting, 5:30, in the district meeting room. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Mr. Osowski. Is there a second?
Second,
Seconded by Mrs. Martin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned at 7 PM.